people talk about mild cognitive impairment, and it's unfortunate that it's gotten the term mild, because this is really something, it's just like saying to someone, don't worry, you only have mildly metastatic cancer. This is actually a relatively late stage of Alzheimer's or other dementia pathophysiology. So it's the third of 4 stages. So the stage 1 is a phase 1, is an asymptomatic phase where you can already see changes on PET scan, you can already see changes in spinal fluid. And this occurs about 20 years before a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. And therefore you can see we really have a tremendous window of opportunity if we simply don't wait. So as I said, abnormal spinal fluid and PET scan. Phase 2 then, which lasts on average 10 years. So again, we have a huge window of opportunity here. Phase 2 is called SCI, or subjective cognitive impairment. And by definition then, you know that there's something wrong, but the cognitive testing is not typically picking it up yet, unless you use very sensitive cognitive testing. So these 2 stages, we have tremendous success with these. Very easy for people who have SCI to reverse their problems if you look to see what's actually causing them. Now, phase 3 out of 4 is what we call mild cognitive impairment. And unfortunately, it's so common for the doctors to say, it's just mild cognitive impairment, come back next year. It really should be called relatively late stage Alzheimer's disease. At that point, the cognitive testing has turned abnormal, and yet you still have your normal activities of daily living. 5 to 10% of people with MCI convert to full-on dementia per year. And then finally, the 4th and final phase is Alzheimer's disease. And this now means that your activities of daily living are affected. And unfortunately, we as physicians and researchers have tried to focus on this 4th and final stage to say, what should we be doing about it? When in reality, we can do much, much better if we go earlier on. And as I said earlier, the diagnosis is typically made about 20 years after the initial biochemical changes. So if we can simply get people to come in earlier for what we call a cognoscopy, just as everybody knows, what do you do when you turn 50? You come in for a colonoscopy to make sure that you're not going to have a problem with colorectal cancer. Same idea here. If you're 45 or over, everyone should have a cognoscopy. Pretty simple to do, some basic blood tests, a simple online cognitive assessment. And then if you're symptomatic already, or if you're doing poorly on the cognitive test, you want to have an MRI with volumetrics.